First overall, with 5 games to play, with a look ahead to the big week for the Jets, let's bring in John Liu from Winnipeg. John, the Jets are in Dallas with the Stars just 3 points back on Thursday. But first, they get the hottest team in the league in the Blues at home tonight. What's the buzz in Winnipeg like right now?
Well, Gino, the buzz is a little bit nervous after the week they just had because it was so Jekyll and Hyde. If you go back to last Tuesday, the LA Kings beat the Jets for a third time this season and basically stifled them. LA has the template on how to beat the Jets, which is actually sort of playing the type of game that the Jets are very good at. Stifling defense, really strong structure. And so that made fans take up a notice in not a good way. But then 2 days later in Vegas, the Jets slayed an old dragon of theirs and really manhandled the Vegas Golden Knights. And so the tide rose again for the fan base. And then on Saturday night, it was a real stinker against Utah, a team that the Coyotes / Utah Hockey Club have given the Jets fits in recent years. But the fact of the matter is, when fans take a look at the totality of this season, they are expecting the Jets to beat the teams below them, ones that are below them in the standings, that are not in playoff spots. And so there was nervousness there because as we approach this time of year, we all know, especially looking at the last 2 years, the Jets flaming out in the first round of both of the last 2 seasons, fans are nervous. It's a show-me situation. They want to see the Jets peaking at this time of year and firing on all cylinders. And so, yeah, the buzz in the city right now is a little bit nervous.
No better opportunity to show me than against the St. Louis Blues. Yes, the Blues are behind them in the standings, but there's no team better than them over the last 6 weeks.
Yeah, well, 12 straight wins. The Blues are firing on all cylinders, as we say. But hey, you know what? The Jets, they have a familiar feeling from that themselves. They know what it's like to have that feeling. They had an 11-game winning streak that spanned the end of January into February and picked it up after the Four Nations face-off as well. And so they know what the Blues are all about, what to expect. And I mean, even though Jordan Binnington, who's been a real tough out for the Jets, and in any given time that they face him, Joel Hofer, the Winnipeg product, will be between the pipes tonight. But every aspect of the Blues game is on point right now, and so the Jets accept that, yes, this is a very strong test. They do want to put in a much better showing than they did on Saturday night against Utah, and this club has been very good in its responses after bad outings. They have not lost consecutive games, more than 4 in a row at any point in the only once in this season, and so they've been very consistent. And with only 5 games left, they want to make sure that they are on point in all aspects of their game. And so a game tonight against the Blues, who've won 12 straight, are the hottest team in the league, and then a very important divisional matchup, which could go a long way in deciding who takes the Central Division on Thursday against the Dallas Stars. Very tough week for the Jets, but one that they're relishing simply because they are very stern tests, and they're the types of things that can really help them rise to the occasion at a very important time of year.
Okay, Johnny, we know the Jets would love to win the division, and Connor Hellebuyck gives them the best chance to do that. He can match his career high with his 44th win tonight. If he starts and wins the last 5 games, he can match Marty Brodeur's record for the most in a single season. Bruce Boudreau thinks that would be a terrible idea, saying that somebody would have to get fired if that's what they did. How do you think the Jets do indeed handle Hellebuyck down the stretch?
Well, Gino, then the people making those decisions would have been fired a long time ago if that were the case, simply because Connor Hellebuyck, as of tonight, Gino, Connor Hellebuyck will play his 60th game for a 4th season in a row, 6th time in his career out of 10 years. He is just an old school throwback where he is so durable, he doesn't get injured, his conditioning is top notch, he's able to play those numbers of starts, make those numbers of appearances, and still play at a high caliber. I mean, look at his numbers this year. He's going to run away with his 3rd Vezina trophy. No goalie in the league can catch him in terms of wins. He's in a career high in shutouts, which leads the league's career high in save percentage and in goals against average. The only goalie that's close to him is Darcy Kemper on LA, but Hellebuyck is absolutely going to take home his 3rd Vezina. Now, I see Bruce's point, because when you take a look at the Jets' playoff history in recent years, especially the last 2 years where Hellebuyck did top the 60, he played 60 last season, but he topped 60 the year before. And you look at what happened in the first round. Last year against Colorado and in Vegas the season before, Hellebuyck did not have his best performances in those series, but then again, neither did the teams in front of him. And so, yeah, I can absolutely see where Bruce is concerned about how much Hellebuyck will be played down the stretch. But talking with Wade Flaherty, the Jets goaltending coach, he says that fatigue was not an issue with Hellebuyck in either of the past 2 seasons once they got to the postseason. Last year, it was a case of Colorado simply game planning to make life miserable and difficult for Hellebuyck, and then executing that game plan against the Jets to a T, to perfection. The year before, well, it was Stanley Cup winners. They ran into a buzzsaw. After the Jets won Game 1 of the playoffs, it was a reverse sweep. The Vegas Golden Knights, they found their game. They were firing on all cylinders. And so you can't put that entirely on Hellebuyck or really insinuate that that is fatigue. The fact of the matter is that he wants to play a lot of games. He's capable of playing a lot of games through the totality of a season. And so, and the numbers back that up. And granted, yes, this is going back to 2018, so 7 years ago. But the fact is that the year that Hellebuyck played the most minutes and made the most appearances, which was 2018, the Jets went the farthest that they've gone in the playoffs in 2.0 history, to the conference finals, and that's where they ran out of gas. But the fact is that Hellebuyck, he set his career high, 44 wins in that season, and he still had his best playoffs of his career. As far as he is, as far as a goaltender is concerned right now, Hellebuyck is a better goaltender now than he was 7 years ago. And the way that he has cobbled together this season on the way to what will be a third Vezina in his trophy case, there's something different about Hellebuyck this year, that there's an element of focus and calmness and the way that he's conducting himself throughout the course of the season. You just feel that he is so much in sync with his team this year that you get the feel that this year's playoffs will be different. And granted, yes, matchups will be important. Who they face in the first round, that's still yet to be determined. But you know, his concerns are well-founded, but I'm sure the coaching staff, management of the Jets would argue otherwise, though.
Quick lineup questions for tonight. John, what's the latest on Nick Ehlers and Cullen Miller?
Nikolai Ehlers officially is a game-time decision after he blocked a shot with his right foot in Vegas last Thursday and then missed the game in Utah on Saturday. But he took part in full morning skate today. But officially, Scott Arniel said that Ehlers will still be a game-time decision. The latest we're hearing now on Colin Miller is that he missed morning skate due to illness, and so he is actually questionable, more doubtful for tonight's game. And we did have a slight update on Gabriel Velarde, and I'm going to read this for you because I don't want to paraphrase this. This was actually what Scott Arniel said was kind of vague, and so I don't want to misquote him. But what he did say about Gabriel Velarde is that the Jets' power forward is around, and we are, quote, getting close to see him. We're getting close to see with letting him go on the ice. He's up and running here a little bit more. We'll just go follow along with him, kind of see where he's at. Well, that really doesn't tell us anything. That's pretty vague, and I think that just speaks to the fact that his status is still very much undetermined, that questionable, like pretty much determined that for the rest of the regular season, the Jets are not going to have Gabriel Velarde available to him. As far as the playoffs concerned, this to me sounds like that is still questionable, just because there's no definitive answers. Although last week, when Arniel was asked about Velarde, he said that he hadn't even gotten back into the weight room and cast some doubt onto what his availability would be beyond the regular season. This sounds a little bit more hopeful, but it's still not definitive. And so, you know what, the Jets, for the foreseeable future, are still going to have to forge ahead without Velarde. And, you know, they're holding their own right now, Gino. They're 4-2 without Velarde in the lineup. The top line, they're holding their own in that regard. They're still putting in their still producing, still putting in their contributions. Mark Scheifele has 3 goals. Kyle Connor 1. Alex Iafallo, who's filling in for Velarde, has 2. So half a dozen goals from the Jets' top line in that 6-game stretch where they're 4-2. But the power play still hurting without Velarde. It's operating at less than 17% in that span. Although, having said that, going back to coming out of the First Nations, or excuse me, going back to the trade deadline day in 14 games, operating at 17%. So one part of the Jets, and we talk about them wanting to fire on all cylinders heading into the playoffs, power play has not been where it's been all season long, where it was operating up over 30% for a good portion of the year, Gino. So that's something that they absolutely have to get back on track if they're going to make noise in the postseason.
Huge test for the Jets tonight. As I mentioned, the Blues not only on a 12-game winning streak, their incredible run goes all the way back to the Four Nations Cup. No team in the entire NHL has a better record than the Blues over the last 6+ weeks.